Okay, well here goes. I am going to sit in a blind this morning, and I'm going to do a little vlog, a little talk here before I get to hunting, because today is not going as planned. This is my second day out hunting for Spring Gobbler. I've screwed up. I am doing something totally the opposite of what I originally planned on doing for this. For not just for today, but for the entire season. This year I had it all planned out. I was going to be sitting on the ground, I was going to wear my ghillie suit, and I was going to get really good at ground hunting. Then I decided, normally I sit on that bucket I've showed you that bucket, but I went to Cabela's, I bought a really nice vest that has a little back in it, a little seat in it where you can sit back, lean up against a tree, make me a little bit more mobile. I've said this before, but Pennsylvania law doesn't allow you to spot and stalk turkeys. That is not a legal spring gobbler hunting tactic. It's by calling only. That is the law. So you have to sit still and call. Now that being said, if I know that there's a gobbler on the neighbor's property over to my right here, over to the northern part of the property, for example, which is one of the places where I hear a lot of gobbles, then it's okay for me to go to the end of my property line and set up there and call. But not, I can't spot and stalk. I can't find, oh, the gobbler's right there, so I'm going to go get as close to him as I can. You can't do that. And there's a lot of safety reasons for that. And that's all fine and good. And I'm totally okay with that. But I want to be a little bit more mobile. And I wanted to, in part, sort of get good at hunting that way so that I wouldn't have to rely on blinds and tree stands during the deer season. Because I always thought, man, it'd be really neat to be able to walk around with a decoy, set up my deer decoys, and have a buck decoy, and then rattle and grunt and all that stuff, and do that from the ground. I'm not going to do that anymore. I've given up on the sitting in one place and not fidgeting. I can't do it. Part of it is because I'm back to drinking coffee, but I like coffee. You know, that's the thing. I like it, and I don't want to stop drinking it. Especially when you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the morning in order to get out here before the sun comes up, before those turkeys fly down. Today didn't go as planned. So what I ended up doing today, I'm back in a blind, as you can see. It was going to rain. I don't like having camera gear in the rain. That's not a good idea. Water and camera and electronics do not mix well, so I'm not going to do that. So I did what you shouldn't do, which is I drove the Ranger in here this morning, bright and early. I didn't hear any turkeys roosting here. I didn't hear anybody fly down or anything like that, but who knows? I've messed this place up pretty good, but for today, or at least the first few hours at least, anyway, I figured it's still worth it. It is a Friday, it's May 4th, I believe, and I have taken the morning off. I'm going into work this afternoon. I'm going to work on a Friday afternoon instead of taking a whole day off. What's the point, right? But my job requires certain attendance, and people have to be there. Someone has to be there. The other attorney cannot be there, so I'm the lawyer that has to be there. Not a problem. I'm totally okay with that, because in Spring Gobbler you can only hunt the first part of the season right here in Pennsylvania. I can only hunt the first part of the day, and that's it. Only hunt in the morning. So what I'm going to do, I haven't called yet or anything like that. I got my decoys set up. It's nice steady rain, and that's going to continue to about 10 o'clock. It's about 7:30 now. Got the decoys set up. I'm going to give it an hour or so. Let it settle down, let the dust settle. Let the rain settle in, and then I'll start yakking it up in here a little bit. And I'll do my most sultry calling that I know how to do, and I'll try and entice a gobbler off the neighbors to come over here. Now, I did go out on opening day, and I've also taken another morning off. And that's one of the reasons during both of those days I started to realize pretty quick that I just don't have the ability to sit still. Opening day, I started the morning in the buck field up behind me here. I started up there, I had a nice little spot. I was sitting on the ground. I had come in before the season started and weed whacked a little bit and busted some weeds out of there, give myself a nice view. Set the decoys up bright and early in the morning, then I started calling.
Down at a favorite spot, waiting for you to come in. I call out to you when I think you're near, and that's when the fun begins. You're walking around, strutting your stuff, showing off for all the girls. But come on over here and get settled in. I'm about to rock your world, oh, 'cause I'm not
Didn't get any response. So about 10 o'clock or so, I packed up all my gear, went up to the house real quick, got some more coffee, and on the way out, I heard a gobble, which I think was a Jake down below me. So, okay, no problem. I'll set up down here on the well pad. So I went down, spent the rest of the morning down on the well pad calling. I heard another caller, and I figured it was a hunter because it was a very active hen. It was a lot more active. And usually this time of year is a hunter, not an actual hen. But I heard a lot of calling and gobbles in response to it. So I was calling, we're both calling, and then I heard the shotgun go off. So he shot it. It's probably 100, 150 yards away from me, though. I don't think it was a trespasser. I don't think it was anybody on this property, but I think one of the neighbors successfully called that gobbler to the other property. He was coming down the property line pretty much, down through the swamp along the creek. Make sure we don't have any company here. But it was a nice morning just the same, and I'm telling you, we've had a long holdout of a cold winter. As you know, anybody following the weather here in the Northeast is aware of that in many parts of the country. And spring hit us, man, it was spring. And today I'm sweating now. It's actually kind of warm out here now. It's in the 60s now, which I'm not used to. Then the other morning that I took off this week, I took off Monday morning, and I hunted up on the upper lot above the ridge. I think it was in the 80s by the end of the day. I was drenched with sweat. And I actually called in a nice gobbler. And I could see him. I don't have great footage of it, but I could see him coming through. His head was bright red. He stuck out. It was as obvious as my decoy. He looked like, you look at that decoy and you think, oh, that doesn't look realistic. It's fake and it doesn't look realistic. That's what he looked like. His face was beet red. And that has something to do with whether or not they've mated that morning. I think, correct me if I'm wrong and leave me a comment if you know about this. I've been told something like that, and I don't know, I haven't read anything on it, but I've been told that. So if you know anything about that, let me know. This is what convinced me that I am not meant to be hunting on the ground. I was sitting there, I stopped calling when I saw him. I had the decoys out in front of me. He came into view, he's about 60, 70 yards away. And he walked along, and he was just walking. He wasn't looking at the decoys. I think he knew they were there, because the Jake decoy stands out like a sore thumb. And he'd heard my calling, so he was looking in my direction. He's on the other side of the decoys, and I reached forward. All I did was reach forward and turn on that GoPro, turn on the Bunjie cam. And the minute I turned that on, he stopped. And he just stood there. And he wasn't looking, his eyes are on the side. You can't tell where they're looking. Their eyes are on the side of the head. He's looking right to my left. And he just turned away from me and walked away. I went down over the ridge. That was it. Didn't gobble, didn't do nothing. He just left. So I think he saw me moving. He was 70 yards away, 60, 70 yards away, and he saw that movement. So, heck with that. That just doesn't work. Can't do it. Still nobody out there. I set up here. I'm in the maples, down below the house. And this used to be the old sugar bush. When my great-grandfather owned this place. My grandfather and his brothers, all my grand-uncles, used to spend the night here overnight and go through and actually boil sap. And there's remnants of their sap boiling. There was no shed. They spent the night outdoors and just did that. But they'd boil sap all night long up here in the sugar bush, collect all the sap and make all the syrup. And they did it right over there into that there's a little hemlock there now. I'm pretty sure it wasn't there then. But the smokestack from their little furnace was right over there from the boiler. It's still over there. So I've left it there. I think that's the coolest thing. I've left it exactly where it was. It's right where my grandfather and my granduncles left it, which I think is awesome. But they used to spend time here. It's just a nice little spot. It's open where I think turkeys will come through here and they'll see that decoy. I think this time of year turkeys would come through here because there's a lot of grass. The very tall maples choke out a lot of the other maples. And so there is a grass that grows in here. This is kind of a unique section of woods. It looks like a park. But the taller spring flowers that are coming up, I think turkeys will feast on that if they come through here. They probably are familiar with this area. It is what it is. So, I have not had luck yet so far. So this is day 3 of coming out here, trying to get a gobbler to come in here. These decoys are going to get nice and wet today, and that's fine by me. I am not. I'm going to stay right here in this blind. I'm going to be nice and cool. I have brought my coffee. I brought 2 books that I'm going to read, start working on here. I have not read them, but I bought them recently. One is a book called Farming in Nature's Image. For those of you who like organic, I'm not big on organic stuff, but I'm very interested in learning about stuff like that. So I'm going to read this, and it's talks about wildlife and wild plants and edibles and stuff like that, and how nature has designed that, and how you can sort of mimic that. Some people in podcasts that I've listened to have talked about how you can use this for food plots and stuff like that, make your food plots more productive. And I think it'll be applicable to the kind of stuff that I get involved in around here. The other book is the Stalking the Wild Asparagus, and this is about edible plants and stuff out here. I've talked about bushcraft books and stuff like that I've read before. I really like that stuff, and this time of the year, in the spring, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's on the ground that you can eat. There's trout lily, for example. I've had some trout lily walking in and out of the woods here. That's up right now. The wild leeks are not ripe yet. The ramps, those are not ripe yet. But I think in a few more days, we're going to be digging those up. Like this weekend, I can probably dig them up. And I have been told, never seen one, but I've never really looked, but I've been told that right now is a good time to find the morel mushrooms, which probably would appear under any of the dead ash trees. I've done a couple videos on the ash tree situation here in northeastern Pennsylvania. There's not going to be any ash trees left. They're all going to die. But I don't know what that means for morel mushrooms. What it means to me is get out and start looking for morel mushrooms before that happens. So I'm going to try and do that. So wish me luck. I'm going to sit here this morning, see what happens. I will call here in another 15, 20 minutes maybe. We'll start calling a little bit. Like I said, I'll get out there and call. The other thing about a blind too, I talked about this. I just did this video on turkey calls and what I'm going to do for turkey calls and all that stuff. And man, you know, you have the best, what's the saying, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, or whatever. That saying, boy, is that true here. I had this all figured out. I was so excited about Spring Gobbler. I've been so excited about it. And I put together my plan, right? I was going to hunt from the ground. I was going to use mouth calls this year and commit to using mouth calls and only mouth calls, because that's what the professionals do. And that's the best sound and all that stuff. I think that's true. And I still think that's true. I think really, if you could do mouth calls, it's a step. I need to work in that direction, and I like that. I'm just not confident, man. After I called that gobbler, and I did call him in with a mouth call, and he came over, but I tried to call him back after I think he had seen the movement, and he never showed up again. So I'm thinking that I'm just not cut out for that. Sitting in the blind here today, I'm probably going to use my slate call. I'm probably just going to sit here and cackle away on that. I can do a great variety of calls on that, and the only gobbler I've ever shot, I called in with that slate call. So I think I was overcomplicating this whole process. I don't think, you don't need to make hunting harder than it is. It's hard enough to get animals to cooperate with you when you've got other hunters surrounding you on all four sides, and when you've got weather conditions and trying to film at the same time that I'm trying to hunt here. It's complicated enough, and I think making it easier with a blind, let's do it, you know. Let's make it as easy as possible. I got good decoys, still set them up, got them all set up. Really what I'm going to do from here on out, this is what I'm going to do from here on out. I'll just tell you right now. I'm going to set up blinds every year in advance of the turkey season. I'm going to set up 4 or 5 blinds and just have them set up in 4 or 5 locations, and that's where I'm going to hunt for Spring Gobbler. I'm just going to sit in blinds. It aids my filming perfectly, makes it perfect for filming, sets it up perfect. It's great for that, but it's also great for I can still read. I can sit here and read stuff and get a little bit of stuff done while I'm sitting here, and I can play on my phone, and I can, watch the cameras, and I can get a special lens and take pictures of birds if I want to, or whatever. I got all kinds of options with that stuff. And with the decoys, I can control the movement of the turkeys, and I should get a clear shot because I've set up a nice little shot here. So, and plus I've got this giant maple, which is the most impressive maple tree I've ever seen in my life. I love that thing. I just love these maples. But that maple tree sitting right there in front of me gives me a perfect opportunity. If that gobbler comes in and he's on the other side of that maple, that's when I lift up the crossbow, and that's when I get ready to take the shot. Bunjie and I get ready while he's behind that, or if he's behind one of those other trees, or that giant old walnut stump sitting right down there below me. He's behind any of that stuff coming in, that's when I get ready. And then you're ready to go. So I got plenty of time for that. So he's not even going to see me moving inside this blind. But he might hear me. So that's enough of the yapping. We're all done with that. I'm going to stop talking, finish my coffee, start on my water for the morning, see what happens. Keep your fingers crossed.